Subject: I truly accidentally cheated on my ex-husband and he never believed me. Dear True Story, I never thought I'd be one of those people writing to you. I've watched so many of your videos, seen women get dragged in the comments, and sometimes I've even thought to myself, she deserved that. But now I'm here, writing to you, hoping someone, anyone, might believe me when I say, I didn't mean to cheat on my husband. I didn't plan it. It wasn't premeditated. It was one moment, one night, one mistake that I will regret for the rest of my life. And he never believed it was an accident. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Lyric, and I met my ex-husband, Jordan, when I was 25. He was 29, tall, quiet, and kind in a way that didn't feel performative. Jordan wasn't flashy. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just himself, stable, consistent, and a little nerdy. I remember the first time he took me out to this hole-in-the-wall BBQ spot where he said the food was better than anywhere else in the city. He was right. He always had this way of knowing the simple, overlooked things in life that turned out to be the best. At the time, I had just come out of a toxic, on and off relationship with my ex-husband. Yeah, that's the twist. You'll hear more about him soon. We'll call him Trey. Trey was the opposite of Jordan. Flashy, manipulative, controlling, and exciting in all the worst ways. Trey was that kind of man who made you feel like you were on a roller coaster. Fun until you're throwing up. I was young and thought the drama meant passion. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Jordan knew about Trey. I was honest with him about my past. I told him everything, from the jealousy games to the infidelity to the verbal abuse. Jordan never judged me. If anything, he told me he respected that I got out. He'd say, that chapter made you who you are, but it doesn't define you. And I believed him. With Jordan, I finally felt like I could breathe. We dated for about 2 years before we got married. Our wedding wasn't huge, just 75 people, but it was beautiful. I still remember how he looked at me when I walked down the aisle, like I was the only woman who had ever existed. I didn't deserve a look like that. Not then, and definitely not now. For the most part, our marriage was good. Jordan worked as an engineer, and I worked in nonprofit development. We made decent money, traveled a little, and had our routines. He made Sunday breakfast. I handled the bills. We'd argue sometimes, sure. I mean, no marriage is perfect, but Jordan was the kind of man who would apologize even when I knew I was wrong. That always humbled me. But this story isn't about how perfect he was. It's about how I messed everything up. About 3.5 years into our marriage, I got invited to a mutual friend's birthday party. Jordan had to work overtime that weekend and told me to go have fun. I should have stayed home. God knows I should have just stayed home. The party was at a rooftop bar downtown. I didn't know Trey would be there. I hadn't seen him in almost 4 years at that point. We didn't keep in touch. No texts, no social media likes, nothing. He just showed up. And when I saw him, my stomach dropped. I remember texting my best friend like, why is Trey here? But it was already too late. He had spotted me. He came over with that same cocky smile, the one I used to think was cute, and said, damn, Lyric, still looking like a snack. I rolled my eyes, but I won't lie, I smiled. Not because I missed him, but because I didn't want to start drama at a friend's party. He asked if we could talk somewhere quieter, and against my better judgment, I said okay. I just wanted to be civil. We ended up in a booth in the corner and we talked. Small talk at first. Then he started reminiscing, talking about the good times, trying to paint our past in a prettier light than it deserved. I told him I was happily married. I even showed him a picture of Jordan and me on our trip to Colorado. He laughed and said, you really married that corny dude? I should have walked away. I should have grabbed my bag and left. But I stayed. We drank. I didn't pace myself. I was sipping wine like it was water, trying to drown the awkwardness. I thought I was in control. I was wrong. Everything after that is a blur. I don't remember leaving the bar. I don't remember going to his apartment. But I remember waking up. I remember the panic. I remember looking over and seeing Trey next to me, smiling like he had won some game. He said, "Told you you still loved me." I jumped out of bed, screamed at him, cursed him out. I was shaking. I cried. And all he kept saying was, "Relax, Lyric. You wanted this. You always want this." I didn't. I didn't want it. I didn't consent to it in the way I would have if I had been sober, if I had been in my right mind. I don't even know if I'd call it cheating or something darker, but I knew one thing. It was over. My marriage was over. I confessed to Jordan that same night. I couldn't live with myself. I told him everything: how I ran into Trey, how we talked, how I drank too much, how I woke up next to him and didn't remember anything after the third glass of wine. Jordan stared at me like he didn't know me. He didn't say a word for the longest time. Then he said, "So, you slept with your ex-husband, and you expect me to believe it was an accident?" I said yes. I begged him to believe me. I told him I didn't plan it, that it was the biggest mistake of my life. He shook his head and said something I'll never forget. "I always knew you didn't really love that loser. I always knew you still had something for him." That crushed me. It crushed me more than waking up in Trey's bed, more than confessing, because Jordan thought I wanted it, that I chose it. He said he was done, packed a bag, slept at his brother's that night, and within a month, he filed for divorce. Trey texted me afterwards saying, "I did you a favor. You were never meant to be some dude's housewife." I blocked him. I wish I had never unblocked him that night at the party. The divorce was fast, emotionless on his end, and unbearable on mine. Jordan didn't scream, didn't throw things, didn't call me names. He just shut down. He cut me out like I never existed. The last time I saw him was at the final signing. He didn't look at me once. I wanted to beg, to cry, to explain again. But what was the point? He had already judged me, and in his eyes I was guilty. That was 18 months ago, and I haven't healed. I've gone to therapy. I've joined support groups. I've deleted every old photo. I even moved apartments, but I still feel lost, like I'm walking through life without the one person who gave me direction. Jordan was my compass, and I broke it. I'm not asking for sympathy. I know I messed up, but I want people to understand that sometimes the worst mistakes don't come from bad intentions. Sometimes they come from being stupid, drunk, and thinking you're in control when you're not. To every woman listening, please don't drink around your ex. Don't give them even 5 minutes of your time. Don't think you're above the temptation or the trap or the blurred lines, because one night can destroy everything. And to Jordan, if you ever hear this, I'm sorry. I never stopped loving you. You were never just safe or stable. You were my peace. I lost my peace the moment I said yes to that booth, to that glass, to that mistake. I'll regret it forever. The weeks after the divorce were a blur. At first, I tried to keep myself busy. I dove into work like it was a life raft, stayed late at the office, took on extra tasks, even volunteered for things I hated. I thought, if I can just stay distracted, maybe I won't feel the ache. Maybe I won't keep expecting Jordan to walk through the front door and crack that crooked smile of his, the one he gave me whenever I got home before him and had dinner halfway burnt on the stove. But grief doesn't work like that. You can't outrun it. You can't outwork it. It finds you in the quiet moments. I remember the first time it really hit me. I was standing in the grocery store holding a box of his favorite cereal, Honey Bunches of Oats, and I just froze. My hands started shaking, and I broke down crying right there in aisle 5. Some older woman came over and asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine, but how do you explain that a stupid box of cereal reminds you of the best man you ever knew and how you destroyed him? I started drinking a little more than I should have after that. Not recklessly, not to party, but that slow, creeping kind of drinking where you start having a glass of wine with dinner, then one before bed, then maybe one in the shower to calm down. I never considered myself an alcoholic, still don't, but I was definitely using it to numb the edges. Eventually, my best friend intervened. Her name's Camille. She came over one night and saw the bottles in the trash and said, "Lyric, this isn't you." I snapped at her, told her she had no idea what it's like to lose someone over one stupid night. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're right. I don't. Because I never slept with my ex." That one hurt, but I needed it. I started therapy the next week. The first session was awful. I cried for most of it. The therapist, Dr. Kim, asked me to walk through the night of the incident again. I told her everything, and for the first time, someone actually said, "Lyric, what happened to you may not have been entirely consensual." I was taken aback. I had never used that word. I never thought of it that way. She explained that alcohol impairs your ability to consent. That if I blacked out, if I didn't remember going there or agreeing to anything, then it may have been closer to assault than cheating. But I still called it cheating because I didn't fight hard enough to leave, because I stayed at the bar, because I ignored the red flags and thought I was immune. And even if legally or technically something else happened, the outcome was the same. I slept with another man, and my husband left me. Therapy helped, but it didn't fix me. Some wounds don't close neatly. They stay open, like paper cuts on your soul that get irritated every time you hear your ex's name or see a couple holding hands at the park. I'd go weeks thinking I was okay. Then I'd see a photo from our honeymoon in Tulum or find one of his old t-shirts I forgot to donate, and I'd lose it all over again. One time, I actually drove past his job just to see if his car was there. I know, pathetic. I didn't go in. I just sat across the street looking at the building like it held the answers to my pain. Like maybe, if I stared hard enough, the man I lost would come outside and tell me it was all just a nightmare. He didn't. Instead, I got a text from him that night. One sentence. "Don't ever show up at my job again." I hadn't even spoken to him, hadn't gotten out of the car, but I guess someone saw me. Maybe one of his co-workers. Or maybe he just felt it. Like he knew I was still lingering in the shadows of his life. That was the last time I tried anything. I didn't date after the divorce. Still haven't. Not because I'm not attractive or don't get approached. I do. But because I don't want another man. I want Jordan. And when I look at these other guys, I just see shadows. They don't carry themselves the way he did. They don't ask how your day was and actually mean it. They don't put your phone on the charger at night when you forget. They don't wake you up with kisses on your forehead like you're sacred. And maybe I don't deserve that kind of love again. Maybe I had it and lost it, and that was the price. One of the worst parts of it all is the silence. When you go through a normal breakup, your friends take sides, your family offers advice, people check in. But when you're the one who cheated, even if you didn't mean to, people vanish. You become a cautionary tale, a warning. Nobody wants to be associated with the woman who stepped out, even if the story's more complicated than that. Some people told me to stop bringing it up, to move on. But how do you move on when you're still bleeding? I tried writing him a letter a few months ago. I never sent it, but I poured my heart into it. Told him about therapy, about how I'm trying to heal, about how I still wear my wedding ring on a chain when I feel like giving up. That ring used to symbolize love. Now it's a reminder of failure. I told him I understood why he left, that if roles were reversed, maybe I would have left too. But I also told him something I never said out loud before. I forgive him for not forgiving me. I know that sounds strange, but I realized I was holding on to this hope that he'd call one day and say, "I believe you now. Come home." And he never did. And that's okay, because forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It just means I release him from the prison in my mind. He owes me nothing, and I owe myself peace. To the men listening to this, I know some of you already have your judgments about me. That's fair. I probably would too if I were in your shoes. But I'm not writing this to beg for approval. I'm writing because I know I'm not the only woman who's made a terrible decision that cost her everything. If you're a woman out there who's hurting because you let one bad choice unravel the best thing in your life, I see you. I am you. And I'm here to tell you it's okay to hurt, but don't stay there forever. And to the women who think they'd never do what I did, never fall for that one glass too many, never be foolish enough to be near an ex, you're not better than me. You're just lucky your test hasn't come yet. I failed mine, miserably, but I'm trying every day to learn from it. My life isn't glamorous now. I wake up, I work, I go to therapy. I try to rebuild the pieces, and some days are good. Some days I laugh. I see the sun through the clouds, and some days I cry into a pillow and wonder if I'll ever love like that again. Jordan was more than my husband. He was my mentor, my friend, my mirror. He showed me who I could be when I wasn't being ruled by my past. And I miss that version of myself as much as I miss him. So here I am, bearing my soul to strangers on the internet, hoping maybe there's a woman out there who avoids her tray because of this story. Or maybe there's a man who listens a little deeper when his wife says, I messed up, but I didn't mean to. Because sometimes people really don't mean to. Sometimes the betrayal hurts the betrayer just as much. Thank you, True Story, for giving people like me a voice. Even if my voice is shaky, even if I'm still trying to find my way, I'm Lyric, and this was my mistake. Forever regretful.